Before we get stuck into pressing matters of Manchester City and a little bit of what happened at Villa Park midweek, the Champions League draw has landed. It has been done. Liverpool have found themselves with a pretty tough tie, PSG. It's important to say, even in the old format, you could end up on the end of one where you get a really tough time. But after all of those games, Liverpool finished top of that massive group. To get PSG does not feel like a kick in the balls.
It is quite that. It is worth saying the year we win it, for instance, I think we come second in our group and we get Bayern Munich. And I'm sure Bayern Munich that year were like, well, we've come top of our group. Have we got Liverpool? Come on, this isn't right. This isn't fair. You can just sort of walk into one. What we do have, though, because of where we finished in the group, is, well, us or Paris Saint-Germain have a pretty likely tantalising quarter-final, which you'd feel as though both Liverpool or Paris Saint-Germain will go into as favourites, whoever it is who gets through on the other side. And I mean that with the greatest of respect, obviously not least because we've just drawn, but we were, I think, really quite superior to Aston Villa over the course of that game. So I think you can just sort of, you can worry a little bit too much. You're going to play difficult sides. Some years you play a difficult side in the last 16 and then it's been easier in the last 8. I think the year we win it, it is Bayern Munich and then I think it's Porto, so that can happen. It's happened in the past. But yeah, I mean, I'm having a little look at Barcelona's draw, the Barcelona side of the draw, and I'd quite like to swap places with them. I think you're able to look at Barcelona and say they've had the benefit of where they've ended up there, and you can see their likely path through. Whilst I think that their quarters would be likely, at least on paper, a little tougher than ours, but then their semi-final will probably be on paper a little easier than ours. May well end up being. So yeah, you're never going to get exactly what you want, but all of that said, at least we know what it is, and that's the other thing I like about the format. You can see it all the way through now to the final. You can anticipate what it is that you're going to be coming up against and what you're not going to be coming up against. So yeah, all in, I think it's one where Liverpool are going to have to sort of find themselves playing really, really well across the two legs against Paris Saint-Germain. And I'm worried about them because I think they're a good side, but I think also they've become a side with more youthful exuberance, which I think is good for them. Fewer legendary names, which I also think is good for them. And what I think you've seen them do, certainly when they played against Manchester City, was they look like the sort of team who've got the ability to take a tie away from anyone in 20 minutes. At the same time, I think we'll be favourites to go through, rightly, and I think that we can go through. But I worry more than I would with a lot of other sides that they've just got that idea that they can bring a lot of pace, a lot of power to the party quite quickly, allied with an unbelievable amount of goal scoring quality. So we're going to have to watch it, and we're going to have to watch it when we go over there. I think if we can get over there without defeat, then obviously I think we'll feel as though we're in really, really good shape.
I think all of that feels very fair, Lauren. It could have been easier, you have to say that, but the quarter-final definitely could have been more difficult if Liverpool get there. It's fair to say Paris Saint-Germain, it will be a challenge, but they did toil for large parts of that early Champions League group phase, and then when it mattered, they really, really kicked into gear. But the thing is, if you want to go and win a European Cup, you are going to have to beat some of the best sides in Europe, and they are probably, on their day, one of the best sides in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. I think I completely agree in terms of if you want to win the competition, you want to beat the best on the way there. So why not face PSG along the way? But it's obviously always going to be a tough game considering the position that we're in, just in general at the minute, and obviously the second leg being just before that cup final as well. So there's a lot to deal with in terms of managing players' minutes leading up to that and after that as well. So yeah, I mean, but like you said, you want to play the best. So in order to win it, you've got to beat the best as well. So it's going to be a tough game, but I think it's one that we can handle over the two legs.
Andy, okay with it?
Yeah, sounds. I've got a foolproof way to beat them. Just launch across at that big doping goal and we'll be fine.
I knew there'd be a keeper angle somewhere.
No, this isn't just because of PSG. We've spoke about this, Neil, and it is something in there, and I'm making light of it, but that is a tangible. It always reminds me of funny enough, when we drew PSG in the UEFA Cup in the 90s, and there was a big thing in the keep about David James being absolutely fucking awful.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and what did they do when they came here?
Just set pieces, crosses, across the box.
Joking aside, look, if you're going to win the European Cup, you're going to have to beat these sides anyway at some point. So, I think Liverpool are strong enough to get through it. I think they've got to be mature. I think for everything that Neil said about PSG, whereas they can take a game away from you, teams like that tend to be emotional, they thrive on momentum, and the flip side of that is you can do that to them.
Yeah.
Like, if they just turn up and suddenly they're going, oh, fucking hell, this isn't going to be easy, this. And it's second leg at Anfield, isn't it? Is that correct?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something, I mean, Arsene Wenger, one of the greatest philosophers of football, is on record saying that. And that isn't me being misty-eyed. There's lived evidence of this happening to the biggest teams in Europe. I mean, Barcelona being the obvious one, but we've done it. Funny enough to PSG, where we nearly overturned the 3-0. Do you remember? Mark Wright scored the header late on to make it 2-0 years and years ago. We've done it to Dortmund. They'll be looking, as much as we don't like the draw, they won't have liked this draw either. Not by any way or shape. So, you know, let's just get over to Paris, not be all doom and gloom if we don't come away with a win, and then get the job done at Anfield, and then know that we've done a good job and we've eliminated the team that could be a threat later on in the stage if we've been drawn against them at that point. So, no, it's fine. Just got to be grown up and remember who we are.